You know, for a guy whose whole deal is with great power comes great responsibility, Peter Parker has absolutely zero control over his own survival. From accidentally giving a supervillain a magic space stick to getting snapped out of existence by a purple alien, looking back, it's actually insane how many times Spider-Man got lucky. He is not as smart as he thinks he is. He is definitely not as experienced as he should be. So, here is every time Peter Parker was insanely lucky not to end up as a stain on the pavement. Starting with a night that changed everything. Peter's been swinging around in a cheap pajama suit, stopping bike thieves, and generally being a menace to local criminals.
Hey, buddy, is this your bike?
Did not change.
Hey, does anyone have a pen? Do you have a pen?
But his first real supervillain test comes in the form of Adrian Toomes, the Vulture. Peter tracks Toomes to a warehouse in Maryland, thinking he's being a big hero. Instead, he walks into a trap. Toomes collapses the entire building on top of him. We're talking tons of concrete, steel beams, and rubble burying a 15-year-old kid alive. He's pinned, he's bleeding, he's screaming for help that isn't coming. The only reason Peter survives this is because Toomes gets a phone call. Literally, his wife calls him, and Toomes, being a family man, decides to just leave. He doesn't check the body. He doesn't make sure. He just assumes the rubble did the job and walks away to take out the trash or whatever. Peter should have been a pancake. Instead, he gets a second chance because Adrian Toomes had better cell service than situational awareness.
Why did he send you here?
Guess you'll never know.
This is the moment where Peter's ego writes a check his body can't cash. He tries to stop a Vulture weapons deal on the Staten Island ferry, and it goes about as well as you'd expect.
Incoming call from Tony Stark.
No. I'm actually at school.
No, you're not.
Peter's plan is to use a high-tech web grenade from his Stark suit to trap Toomes. Great plan, except Toomes just shoots the grenade, which activates a Chitauri gravity disruptor, which proceeds to slice the Staten Island ferry in half like a hot knife through butter. Now, hundreds of civilians are drowning, a massive boat is sinking in New York Harbor, and Peter is standing there in his underwear, realizing he just caused one of the worst maritime disasters in history. He's desperately trying to hold the boat together with webs, but he's failing. He's going to run out of strength and everyone is going to die. The only reason he doesn't become the boy who drowned New York is because Tony Stark shows up in a suit of armor, saves everyone, and then yells at him.
Hi, Spider-Man. Band practice, was it?
Tony literally has to fly in from across the city at the exact right moment. What if Tony was in a board meeting? What if his suit was charging? The ferry would be at the bottom of the harbor, and Peter would be fish food. After the ferry incident, Tony lays down the law. He takes the training wheels suit away. This is a classic tough love mentor moment. But let's be real, it's also insanely reckless.
You hacked a multi-million-dollar suit so you could sneak around behind my back doing the one thing I told you not to do.
Tony strips Peter of his high-tech armor, his parachute, his Karen AI, and his heater. He basically sends a kid with super strength but zero tactical training back into a world full of guys with alien guns. The very next day, Peter has to chase down a weapons truck full of Chitauri tech while wearing a hoodie. He gets thrown off a bridge. He almost drowns. He has to rely on his raw strength and a lucky web swing to catch a car. If Toomes had been on that truck, Peter would have been vaporized. And Peter only survived because his villains that day were low-level thugs, not the Vulture himself. Peter, Ned, and the rest of the academic decathlon team are in the Washington Monument when Shocker's weapon goes off, jamming the elevator. The elevator cable snaps, and the car full of teenagers plummets down the shaft. Peter, with zero time to think, webs the cable to slow the descent, but it's not enough. He then shoots a web out the top hatch to grab onto something, anything, and manages to stick to the wall, physically holding the entire elevator car with his bare hands. But here's the thing, he had no idea if he could actually do that. He'd never tested his maximum lift capacity. He just guessed. What if his limit was 10 tons and that elevator weighed 11? He only succeeded because he happened to be just strong enough at just the right moment. Beck traps Peter in a nightmare realm of illusions. Zombie Iron Man, crumbling building, a train coming right at him. Peter is getting thrown through walls, hit by falling debris, and psychologically tortured. He's completely disoriented. He fires webs at nothing. He's on the verge of a complete breakdown. He only survives this because Mysterio, being a drama queen, decides to monologue. He could have just let the illusion train run over Peter 10 times. He could have made the ground disappear and let him fall to his death. Instead, he gets cocky, steps out of the illusion to gloat, and gives Peter a split-second opening to tackle him. Peter survives because his enemy was an egomaniac with a theater degree.
Edith, target Spider-Man.
Copy.
After Peter finally defeats Mysterio in London, the job is done, right? Wrong. Beck had one last trick up his sleeve, a final pre-recorded message. While Peter is swinging home, thinking he's saved the day, Beck's video goes live to the entire world, revealing Peter Parker's identity as Spider-Man and framing him for murder.
Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker. What the?
The immediate fallout? A knock on his apartment door. The police? An assassin? No, it's much, much worse. He escaped that bridge by pure luck, grabbing MJ and swinging away just before a mob could form. He went from hero to hunted in 60 seconds and barely made it out alive.
How did you just do that?
I'm a really good lawyer.
This is where Peter's luck starts to feel more like a curse. He's on a spaceship headed to space with no plan and no suit that can survive re-entry. But his dumbest, luckiest moment comes on a dying planet. The team on Titan has almost beaten Thanos. Mantis has him sedated, Star-Lord is about to take the gauntlet off, and Peter, being the eager beaver he is, swings in to help. He wraps webs around Thanos' hands, trying to pull the gauntlet off. But in the chaos, he webs the Infinity Gauntlet itself, and in the struggle, he accidentally pulls the entire gauntlet off Thanos' hand. For one glorious second, the most powerful weapon in the universe is just sitting there. And then Star-Lord ruins everything by punching Thanos in the face. Then, the moment that broke our hearts, Thanos snaps his fingers. Peter feels it first. He looks at Tony and he knows. I don't feel so good. He starts to turn to dust. He panics. He clutches Tony, begging him not to let him go. And then he's gone. And the only reason he's back is because the Avengers happened to win a time heist 5 years later. He was a cosmic lottery loser who got a second chance because his friends cheated. Thanks for watching, commenting, and have a good one. Bye-bye.